Hello, race fans. Peter Mackay here, welcoming you to the Apex Racing Academy F3 VRS Super Series Round 2 live from Brands Hatch. Joining me in the commentary box today is Jack Kinane, and bringing you all these wonderful images and graphics is Marco Barbanera in Rome. Jack, we were treated to an absolute ripper of an event at Road America 1 week ago, and here at the home of single-seater heat racing, Brands Hatch, home of the Formula Ford Festival, of course, I don't expect much different this week.
No, absolutely not. We've got this nice tight and twisty circuit, and I mean we had that wonderful run to the line, which I think between two drivers in one of the heats that ended up with being, I think it was 0.02 of a second across the line at the end. We don't have quite the same run to the line, not in the same length, but there is still a decent run to the lines, and maybe we can get something along those lines once again. But it is Raul Hyman who is the championship leader coming out of all of that round. He managed to take the feature race win in that one. But we have, of course, if you're unfamiliar with the series, we've got two classes. We've got the Pro class and we've got the Pro-Am class. So Raul Hyman at the top of the Pro class, and if we just go to the Am Championship, that is Victor Anderson at the top of that one. So on your graphics that Marco has very kindly put up for us, the amateur drivers in the red and Pro are marked in green. And of course, all these drivers have access to the Apex Racing Academy setups, which are produced by pro drivers of Apex Racing Team. And if they're not obligated to use it, but they can if they want to, which is obviously a fantastic asset to these drivers. Now they've got 4 laps of qualifying to do within 10 minutes, so they've been quite generous. Here's the championship standings, actually. So Raul Hyman, Alex Alcaraz, Stratos Kilakitsis, Karl Modov, Max Bartolozza, Vitola Garcia, and then Victor Anderson inside the top 10, Peter, and he is in the Am class. So if I'm not too mistaken, if he keeps up this performances, he could probably see himself promoted.
Possibly, yeah, but as we know, anything can happen, and it usually does here in the Apex Racing Academy F3 VRS Super Series, and I think it's going to be a topsy-turvy championship in both the Pro and the Am, and of course, you know, as we go through the heat racing format throughout the night, I'm sure there'll be plenty of high-profile emissions from the automatic entries through to the feature race and those who have to go through the dreaded consolation. And likewise for the Am class drivers, if they can get that ticket to the feature race and get it in the bag and not have to go through the consolation race, they could really get the jump on their competitors.
Yeah, as per usual. So the format, of course, we have 2 heats, consolation and feature, and coming out of the heats, 12 drivers go straight through to the heats, and the rest will go to the consolation. There is your amateur class standings. Victor Anderson with Sammy Venables, Keys Dross, Luka Zivkov, Mark Jones, Brett Pankari, Kevin Shine, Demi McMullen, Toby Ward, and Valdemar Cardea are your top 10 in that championship. But as you can see, after round 1, it's still incredibly close. And eventually, when we get further into this championship, there is a drop round that comes into effect as well. That is not in effect at the moment, but it will count in. And here we are with the championship leader overall. There is Raul Hyman, but he's got Alex Alcaraz very much on his tail, 0.04 of a second. And Peter, yeah, we were chatting beforehand. Drivers were complaining a little bit about the grip levels with the track temperature.
They were, yes. So they are out here at very untypically Brands Hatch day, very, very hot track temperature. At the moment, over 40 degrees centigrade track temperature, so quite different than what the British Touring Car Championship contenders are facing this weekend at Brands Hatch. And basically, for our viewers who are perhaps newer to motor racing, if the track temperature gets excessively high, which certainly anything over 40 degrees centigrade certainly would be, the track can get quite greasy and quite slippy. The tyres overheat and they don't quite grip. And they don't work at their optimum, and that's basically what the drivers are really facing today. There's no cloud cover at all, so the sun is baking down on the tarmac and really cooking it, basically. So, you know, we'll see the drivers will not be anywhere near their personal best times, no matter how hard they try, but it's going to really be a race of attrition, I think, or an evening of attrition, because making a mistake on this slippery track is going to be so easy to do.
Exactly, Sammy Venables, who's P2 in the championship, and he goes to pole position for the AM class. He goes inside the top 10 as well. Time's very close. Raul Hyman still at the top of the standings, 1:17.0. And then we have Georgie Zuin right behind him, P2. Alex Alcaraz, then Herbino, David Holland, Mikko Nurmi. The David Holland slots back up to second place right now. As we said, they have 4 laps. They were given the extra laps, I believe, because Brands Hatch is such a short lap. You need extra time to warm the tires up, and tire temperature, especially in these F3 cars, is super crucial. And when you've got a slippy track as well, it's incredibly hard. We're currently looking at Sammy Venables as he heads through and across the line. This is Christoph Herbinot. Can he improve on his position? Crosses the line, he is in P5 and he stays P5. But of course, the grid will totally be split up for the heats, and 12 from each heat goes through. But as we were talking about before as well, that's a car in pieces. That's Alex Alcaraz, who's gone off on the drop down into Hawthorne, that looks like. That looks quite nasty here. Actually, no, it's at the top of Dingledale. As he comes through then through the left-hander. As he get on the grass, he gets on the curb, and that's it. And I think we're going to see a lot of that today, Peter, because there's zero runoff here.
Yeah, there is, and it's really quick through that back part of the circuit as well. Lots of very high-speed corners, so I'll need to keep an eye on that throughout the day. As you see, our drivers just coming to the closing stages of qualifying right now. So at the moment, we see, business as usual. Raul Hyman leading the way by just under 0.2 of a second from David Holland, with Zuain in third and Alcaraz back in fourth. Christoph Herbinot in fifth, Mikko Nurmi sixth. So, yeah, and look at they're so tightly separated on time as well. So it's I think we're going to be in for a real treat.
Harry Bowen given a socks to the last corner with plenty of sideways action across the line. Harry Bowen, where does he slot into? He slots into 36th place right there. Just a couple more drivers yet to come. This is John Fogel. He comes through over the top. He doesn't make the same mistake that Alex Alcaraz made. Heads down towards the last corner, which is, of course, the Clark curve onto the Brabham Straight. You've got to be committed through there, got to use all of the road available to you. And then it does end in slipstream fests across the line as he head towards Paddock Hill Bend. But John Fogel across the line, does he improve in his position? He does, and he goes to 18th fastest, and that, I believe, is also third for the AM class, and not a bad effort from him there. As far as I was aware, actually, there are 4 new drivers joining the grid today, so hopefully they have a nice, clean bill of it today. And if you are interested in joining the league as well, you can check out Apex Racing League's website. You can find all the information for this series available on here, and I think you'll get a taste of what the action is like. If you've seen Road America, you know exactly what it's like, but we're in for a very different type of racing today. Hopefully a good one, but qualifying is now over, and we get to have, at last, our first look at the racing around Brands Hatch. I've been looking forward to this since last week.
Me too, yes. We have the Formula Ford Festival. This is going to be our miniature Formula 3 festival here tonight at Brands Hatch. So on pole position for this opening heat is Raul Hyman, who will have Georgie Zuain, the Canadian, lining up beside him. Christoph Herbinot starts from third with Stephen Verratti in fourth. Stratos Kirlagitsis in fifth with Vitul Garcia in sixth. Brian McManus and Francesco Fioroni will be on row 4, followed by Jordan Kelly and Mark Bartolotta. Chuck Mauro and David McDonald will be 11th and 12th. In 13th position will be John Gordon, followed by Toby Ward, Case Dross, Brett Pancari, Hans Verhey, Damon McMullen, Cam Nagoyan, Kevin Shine, Richard Holding, Zachary Gage, Alok Iyengar, and Tony Seppala. So we hear the drivers raising the revs, blipping the throttle, getting ready to go, ready to launch these Grand Prix bred Dallara Formula 3 machines down towards turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend, the notorious Paddock Hill Bend, as we see Raul Hyman prepared calmly on the front of the grid. Interestingly, starting on the he will be starting on the inside there with the 1, 2, 3 of Zuain on the inside. Looks like we've got our last couple of runners lining up, and the lights will be raising. Here they go then. Revs are up. Lights illuminate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and off they go. And we are go here in the ARA F3 Series at Brands Hatch. Hyman gets the jump, and he heads into Paddock Hill Bend. Now, can Zuine go through, or Herbigno has made a great start. Herbigno there goes up, tries to have a look there, but Zuine defends, and Hyman, perfect start to this evening for the championship leader.
Yeah, they were very sensible through Paddock Hill. Oh, there's a spinner in the background. That's Varity around in the background. He loses it on the exit of Surtees' corner there as he was just trying to get it back going again, and that'll cost him a spot in the feature. Top 12 goes through, remind you. Here's Raoul Hyman with Georgie Zuine and Christophe Herbigno right as it dropped down the hill for the first time. He looks to the outside line, but there's not enough room. Now they've got to be sensible now, because this is you can score championship points, but it's all about that crucial feature race. But it looks like for this moment, the guys behind looking like they're heating up the tyres much better. Herbigno got a great start, but he got defended into Druids by Zuine. He cut across his nose, couldn't cross the inside of Dingledell there, looking to the inside for the next corner. But now Hyman's got to do his best to try and break away, because the slipstream is very, very effective here. Heading down towards the Clark curve for the first time. It's Hyman from Zuine from Herbigno through the last corner. Good run from Herbigno this time in the slipstream, heading towards turn 1, down towards Paddock Hill for the first time. Is he going to look for a move here? He does get covered off. Zuine tries to cover him off. Herbigno to the outside line, but it's so tricky to do it here. Looking for the cutback down to Druids now. As they're rolling into the gravel goes Zuine. He gets pushed out wide, all to his own accord, and Herbigno goes through. Kitsis goes through, and it was easy as that, and we're going to see plenty of that, but thankfully he managed to keep it in a straight line.
Did indeed. Yep, Stratos in third, coming through there in that blue and yellow machine, moving through into the podium positions, and he has to go straight into second spot. Herbigno makes a bit of an error there, and Zuine, he's right on the back of Herbigno. And as you said, Jack, I don't think there was contact there, but there wasn't a great deal of room there for Zuine to stay on track.
No, definitely not. He just ran himself out wide, which is so easy to do in Paddock Hill Bend. Here we have a scrap going on. Fioroni with Brian McManus trying to look to the outside. It's very tight as they come through there. Jordan Kelly is right behind him as they're running a little bit wide. Fioroni runs wide, so McManus now tries to go back up the inside as they head through Dingledell. Tries to hang around the outside, does Fioroni. That's brave stuff if he can make that work. He's on the inside for the next corner, but McManus manages to get it around the outside. Dave McDonald's trying to come in through as well. Dave McDonald is having a great run of it, actually, as he comes up to the last corner as well. But this is a great scrap for P6, and this is all for good position in the feature, don't forget. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars fighting for position, as now you can see a couple of cars fighting away. Fioroni's having to defend against a couple of guys. McDonald's having to defend as well as they head through Paddock Hill up towards Druids once again. We're looking now on board with Gordon as he tries to go to the outside. Jordan Kelly making contact there and spinning, and there's a multiple car collision there on the exit of Druids. One car has broken the rear end, but most of them seem to have got going again, but they've all now dropped crucially out of the transfer spots.
Yeah, that's a disaster there for David McDonald. He'd made such a good start in the Rust Racing machine, and Brian McManus in the Digital Motorsport sponsored car getting caught up very much, I would say, the innocent party there, Jack. Let's get another look at it then on the replay. So where does this all start? I think maybe McManus gets a little tap, and then that sets off a bit of a chain reaction. Almost impossible to kind of put that all together. Let's see. Yeah, maybe McManus gets late in the brakes, and then I don't know. McDonald spun,
he spun by himself to Dave McDonald, actually, just to, and I didn't help that. I think it was just unfortunate chain of events. Oh my God, Jordan Kelly flipping upside down, huge one on the exit of that corner. Jordan Kelly, how on earth has that transpired in his first race of the championship? Wow,
that's a big one. Wow, going through Sheen Curve down towards Stirling's, looks up the inside, tries to make a move that's not necessarily there, and ends up having an absolutely enormous shunt. And that's his race done. For, like you say, first night in the championship with Jordan Kelly, has a look up the inside, tries to... No, that was never really there, and bang, pays the price. That's
a huge one for Jordan, teammate of Brian McManus. And Yeah, that's not a great way to start off your first race in the championship. Raul Hyman's having a fantastic day at the moment. He's on lap 4. This is a 15-minute race, by the way. So we've only actually gone through about 5 minutes of it. So still 10 minutes remaining. But Raul Hyman doing the job at the moment that he needs to do. Stratos Kitsis is P2. Christoph Herbino is P3, and then Georgie is doing is P4. Vitola Garcia, then McMahon's Fioroni, Bartolotta. Now, Keys Drost is leading the Pro-Am class, Toby Ward, and then you can see John Gordon in there too as well in P3. So he managed to escape mostly unscathed from that contact. But Raul Hyman is having the best time of it at the moment, out in the lead. He's led from the get-go. He had to fend off a couple of guys there, but now we're back with John Gordon here as he chases down Toby Ward for P2, and there goes Jordan Kelly emerging from the pit lane. So he's managed to get back going, got the faster pair, of course, but he is back out on track. And we look now at everyone's favourite livery, Brett Poncari in the Jordan Peugeot.
We do love it, don't we? Yeah, it's very, very cool. Brett ran this livery last time out, or last season, I should say, to be more correct, and he's sort of in the battle there for the transfer spot through to the feature, and you really want to try and get that automatic entry if you can, because in the consolation race, absolutely anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure. I can't quite see the replay, but something has happened to Tony Seppola as he came through turn 1 into turn 2. By the way, he went off by himself in as he now unfortunately returns to the pit lane, went off a Paddock Hill bend, but Raul Hyman comes through, no issues whatsoever. So that's Tony Seppola's chances of going straight through to the feature done. Another fastest lap for Raul Hyman this time. So he's smashing out the laps as our championship leader. With the battle for the lead in Pro-Am, that's Keys Drust out in the lead, with John Gordon behind Toby Ward, and the car behind these two is Jordan Kelly, who we just saw flipping wildly in the early part or the latter part of the lap. But there's a good scrap going on here.
There is a fantastic scrap between these guys as they head through Graham Hill Bend, along the Cooper Straight and down towards Surtees. Of course, John Surtees, the only man to win the motorcycle and Formula One World Championship at Grand Prix level. Very, very impressive man, dearly missed. So we're right on board with John Gordon, currently sitting in 10th spot, so he's right in the heat of the transfer battle to get through to that critical feature race. Is it going to be... Will he be in the right spot? Oh, my word, good avoidance there from John Gordon. He had to check right up there, but I tell you what, Jag, he did an excellent job there not to plough into Drost in front.
Yeah, you can see he's got more pace as John Gordon, but he's not able to find a way through. He gets on the grass as well on the exit. So Jordan Kelly is trying not to cause issues here. He's trying to make his way through, but it's tricky to unlap yourself when these guys are on board in their battle. But Keys Drost has a little bit of breathing space for now, but John Gordon's certainly looking like the pacier of the two. Keys Drost, by the way, third in the Pro-Am Championship. And he is behind, of course, Sammy Venables and Victor Anderson in that title fight, but he's doing an excellent job at the moment to hang on to that lead. There's your leaders in both classes, Hyman and Drost, at the moment, and leading the teams championship as well. Of course, there is a constructors championship as well in this one. Pligwe's racing team leading that one. Squadra Corse 3D Rap P2 and Delta Sport U4K. They're in the P3 spot in the teams championship. There's still plenty more rounds to come, but off the road there for one of the Squadra Corsa cars that we were just talking about. The two teammates are together, Bartolotta and Fioroni, as they come down the hill. It's going to be a case of running wide onto the grass for Fioroni. Comes through, does he carry a little bit too much speed? Gets on the curb. Both of them get on the grass, actually. So Max Bartolotta was just following his teammate, and that's quite easy to happen if you're trying to follow a car. You're trying to follow the same line, you both run off the grass at the same time.
Indeed, yeah. So we're coming up to 2/3 distance already in this opening heat, as we see John Gordon in the Fuga Simsport car, number 214 machine, chasing down the 283 of Drost, heading down into Paddock Hill Bend they go. Toby Ward not far behind there too, and I think that might be McManus recovering. It certainly was looked like it was a Digital Motorsports sponsored machine, that black and red car. I think it might well be McManus there behind, recovering. I tell you what, you got to love that. Actually, that's Jordan Kelly. Actually, yes, recovering from that earlier incident, McManus's teammate. Tell you what, you got to love the tenacity, Jack, to keep going, get your fast repair, and keep going and try and just get any kind of salvage, any kind of result. And you just never know what can happen in front of you.
Yeah, exactly, and there's points to be scored as well, so it'll just be getting used to as well for the consolation race as well. Get your eye in, as you can see John Gordon getting even closer each time as he comes through up the hill once again. Jordan Kelly not trying anything too silly here. He wants to just hang back. He's not really in touching distance of any car in front of him. So he just wants to make sure it's also practicing for running in the draft as well, which is so crucial with the car behind John Gordon trying to get a good ace. He's got a good run as he comes out of the last corner, out of the Clark curve. But is he going to be alongside as they head towards Paddock Hill Bend? I don't think he is. He's going to have a think about going up the inside. Just leaves the door open, and is there going to be cut? He gets a little bit loose on the exit, but he's not going to quite be alongside. And again, John Gordon not able to get the job done. Keys Dross is driving the wheels off that car to try and stay in front. He tries to get the exit out of Druids, down into Graham Hill Bend, and he's still not able to do it. Now we're on board with Gordon as he tries to get through Jordan Kelly, trying to get himself unlapped. He's up the inside. There's not a hell of a lot he can do. 3 abreast as they come through, and Dross still somehow comes through. Jordan Kelly unlaps himself somehow.
Jordan Kelly will be quite glad to get out the back of that, get away from that particular battle, but we're riding on board with Dross, looking back to John Gordon! Oh my word. Well, I've never shouted John Gordon so excitedly before. There you go. I actually do know a guy called Jordan Gordon, funnily enough. In fact, there's a wine bar in Cheltenham called John Gordon's of Cheltenham. I don't think it's the same John Gordon, though.
That is the most random piece of knowledge I have ever heard on broadcast. Alright, so eventually John Gordon did manage to make the move past, but as a result, that's dragged Toby Ward right into it as well. We're back now with Brian McManus and the other VRA racing car. He's been now under pressure from Fioroni behind him as they head through Druids for the 10th time. We're approaching the end of this race. These guys should comfortably get through, so they don't need to battle too hard for now. But the Squadra Corse cars behind him, you got Fioroni and Bartolotta, and a car just moving out of the way of them there. It's just a car that's a lap down. Brian hanging on nicely for now as they head down the hill, back with P2 man. That's Stratos Killer Kitsis and Christoph Herbigno. And what's transpired here with Herbigno?
We're coming up through Dingledale, up towards Sheen Curve. What's happened? Oh, he puts a wheel on the grass. Oh, hang on to it. Hang on to it. Oof, well held there from the Belgian bullet, Christophe Herbigno. Wow, that was just put a slight portion of his rear left Hankook tyre onto the grass and nearly lost it. And tell you what, Jack, that was a brilliant save there from Herbigno to keep. He did drop a little bit of time, and that's allowed Stratos to escape a bit more in second, but wow, what a save. But I tell you who's not comfy is this man we're riding with now, Brett Poncari. He's in 12th. He is the last man to get the transfer spot, but he's got to worry about Ian Gar, who is right behind him.
That was a lovely move around the outside, but Poncari around the outside of Toby Ward, as now Iyengar up the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, and he does get that done. I think Toby Ward is carrying damage of some kind on the front right side of the wing. It looks like there's a tiny bit of damage on it, or he's struggling with some kind of maybe floor damage, even that is also a thing in iRacing, can damage the floor. But it is now, Brett Poncari goes through. Killer Kitsis is now coming under even more pressure from the man behind him, Christoph Herbigno, who had a moment up here on the previous lap. Doesn't have any kind of issues this time, but the man who's having absolutely zero problems out front is Raoul Hyman, and this should be the last lap of this heat.
He'll be taking the white flag now, will Raoul Hyman, and well, in a field of this standard, to have a lead of over 5 seconds at this stage is quite impressive, and Hyman's really going to take some doing to catch up with him and to beat him today. Who knows? It might be someone from the second heat who can have an answer to his pace, because although Stratos and Christoph Herbigno being quick. They've not been the match for Raoul Hyman, as we see what's happened to John Gordon here on the replay.
This was the move. Yeah, that was the move for the lead, actually. That was, I think, a little bit earlier on. It definitely looked like contact. It definitely looked like contact earlier, but I think it was just Keys was just under pressure. This is now for P2. Killer Kitz is having to cover off Herbigno. As they come down the hill, he's got the cutback line though. Killer Kitz can he defend against Herbigno? It's going to be a run for the line like we saw in Road America just a week ago between these two. Car off the road there. It very much looked like Hyman. It wasn't Hyman. We're looking at him right now. He's had an absolute stormer of a first heat, and he's really putting down a marker for this one as he comes through the last corner. Fantastic effort from Raoul Hyman. He wins heat race number 1. That'll be pole position for the feature race as well. Killer Kitsis, it's going to be very close between himself and Herbigno, but Killer Kitsis holds off Herbigno for P2 and P3, and everybody else should be able to get through no problems to the feature top 12. As we mentioned, go through the rest. We will see again in the consolation, where I'm just looking at it now, only the winner progresses.
Yep, indeed. Well, we've got 12 cars to go through as we see John Gordon coming up to take the AM class victory in this heat. He goes through in 9th spot, Drosten 10th, Pancari 11th, and Ian Gar takes the last spot. Toby Ward, he is the man without a seat when the music stops, and he will be the first of the runners to have to go through the dreaded consolation race. So we have our 12 drivers for automatic promotion through to the feature race. They've already got out the car, popped the kettle on, and poured themselves a nice cup of tea, ready for the feature race a little bit later on.
Exactly, Raoul Hyman, and there's a Pancari parking up on the grass. Raoul Hyman, he's very familiar with Formula 3 cars, because if you remember, he actually raced in the FIA Formula 3 Championship in 2017, I think it was, with Campos. So he definitely knows his way around an F3 car, and he should really show on that at the moment in this championship with a commanding, should we say, win. There it is, the official by 6 seconds over start. That's Killer Kitsis, Christoph Herbigno, Georgi Zuin, Vitolo Garcia, Brian McManus, Francesco Fioroni, Max Bartolotta, John Gordon, Keys Dross, Brett Pancari, and Alec Iyengar are your top 12.
So let's see how they line up then for this next heat. David Holland, Aleix Alcaraz, Mikko Nurmi, Arthur Fry, Mitch Greens, Sammy Venables, Victor Anderson, Matt Corona, John Vogel, Daniel Cranefuss, Isaac Snyder, and Waldemar Cardea, Louis Correa, Mark Alcaraz, Mark Jones, Vincenzo Carcetti, Nathan Healy, Harry Bowen, Marcel Tumba, Steve Brown, Derek Collins, Joey Escobedo, Luka Zivkov, and Darren Woodward. And just about made it. Here go the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're out. And we are off here at Brands Hatch, and it's a slow start there from Holland, and that might allow Alcaraz to get the jump, and it does. Oh dear. So Alcaraz takes the lead from Holland, who bogs it down off the line. Mikko Nurmi coming around the outside now in third. Can he hang on to it? Looks like he might get the inside line then coming down towards. We've got a massive accident at Druids. Goodness me, got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars off.
Yeah, looked like it. That was that's a lot of cars. Derek Holland, then Woodward was involved, and a couple of others. But wow, that was a big one in Druids. Have a look at it. Just total chaos as they come through. That's a lot of expensive parts of Formula 3 cars in the gravel at Druids. Yeah, pity for those guys. But yeah, an awful getaway for David Holland off the line. It just didn't seem to get the reaction time, or he just got a ton of wheel spin. Alex Alcaraz will take the lead. Here we are with Mikko Nurmi, who spun it. There was another accident further up while we were looking at the huge one in Druids. There was another huge one.
Oh, and he's got another car parked on top of his engine cover.
Oh,
No. Oh, well. So all of a sudden, we have Alcaraz and Holland, who are now away out at the front. They're looking in their mirror, thinking, where on earth is everybody? Have I adjusted my mirrors correctly? And Alcaraz, Holland in first and second, Corona Now, Corona, he was away back in 8th or 9th or something like that on the grid, so he's now up to 3rd, Cranefoot in 4th, Correa in the AM class in 5th, so there's a lot of drivers here. If they've managed to be lucky enough to avoid the opening melee, they can really get a good grid spot for the feature.
Yeah, this is what happens. There's at least 10 cars in the pit lane right now after the lap 1 incident. So this is really going to benefit those guys. See, Alcaraz, Holland, Karuna, Cranefoot, both those guys started on the same row, and Luis Correa is leading the AM class. Remember, Victor Anderson was supposed to be up there. He's down in 14th place after the lap 1 incident. John Fogel, Isaac Snyder, who we're looking at right now, Nathan Healy up a few places. Zivkov was starting down the back of the grid. He's up in 9th. And then you have the other Alcaraz right there in P10, Carcadi, Escobedo, and a couple of others. But yeah, the guys who started down the back are just kind of who just kept their nose clean are now in a great spot to progress to the feature.
They are indeed, yeah. Of course, there was a lot of drivers who had absolutely no say when there was just a flying sideways. Delara F3 came in and wiping out a large proportion of the field there at Druids, but those lucky enough to get through are going to reap the rewards as we ride on board with Carcedi coming through in his Squadra course machine. So there's actually a lot of cars going to be taking their fast repair and coming back out onto the circuit, and actually that could, there's been so many cars get into earlier incidents that actually if you can get your fast repair and get out there and charge, there's still plenty up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is just looking at the start again. Possibly, or either that, or I'm just looking at something totally different, most likely. But yeah, something going on with Marcel Tumbas anyway.
Yeah, I think we're riding on board with Marcel Tumbas at the start now. So I think he's maybe been the instigator, perhaps. Is he the bowling ball? Yes, he gets a bit of a help from behind. He gets a big help from behind, and yes, that turns him into, well, half bowling ball. It's like he's he's more of a golf ball, actually. He's been hit by the driver behind him, and that's a pretty disastrous.
Marco like that one.
Yeah, if you're not laughing, folks, I don't mind. Our producer Marco Barbanella is chuckling very much at that one, so I'm very proud. I can retire happy now, Jack.
Anyway, back to the racing before you inflate your ego too much. John Fogel now trying to hang Isaac Snyder behind him for this will be P6 overall, with John Fogel hanging in there nicely in P2 in the Pro-Am class. Luis Correa is out in the lead of that one. We look back now with our leader, Alex Alcaraz, in the lead. David Holland is P2, and these guys are just flying away from Macaruna in P3 and Cranefoot behind as well. So they're in a league of their own at the moment, and they're not really going to fight each other, I think. I think David Holland could possibly be hanging back as well, just to make sure, or just he keep himself on the slipstream as well. But they don't need to fight because they're so far in front. They can't afford to have an accident, because an accident will drop them out of the feature. That's
right, yeah. They've kind of just got to just run some clean laps for 10 minutes, no risk. It's not qualifying. It's, just run at the front, and whether that's the kind of beauty of heat racing, I suppose, from the driver's perspective, is that just as I say that, Alcaraz sets the fastest lap of the race, so they're making us both look silly here, Jack. They're absolutely pushing hard. Now, interestingly, Alcaraz there, that's the fastest lap of the race, a 1:17.8. Now, that was Hyman's consistent pace. So let's keep an eye on Alcaraz and Holland's lap times and see if they stay in that sort of bracket, because if they do, then we know that they can possibly be a threat to Hyman when we get to the feature.
Yeah, from what I remember, I think Raul Hyman's fastest lap was a 1:17.1. So Alcaraz are not quite on that pace right now, but it's even so, they're in the mix, Alcaraz and Holland, for now. 1:17.1 was Hyman's fastest lap. So then again, we still have 10 minutes to go, and the track is rubbering in a little bit, so Alcaraz even could find a bit more time in that one, but he is pulling away from David Holland. Here is Victor Anderson, who was involved in the lap 1 shunt. and he is now, I think, getting caught by the other Hollander, Derek Holland, as it comes through. There's a 17.5 from Alcaraz, so he's picking up the pace a little bit now.
17.6 from Holland as well. So it would appear that Aleix Alcaraz and David Holland have got strong pace to match that of Ryle Hyman, who won the opening heat. So they will join one another together in the opening couple of rows for the feature race. But who will be getting the entry through to the feature race and avoid the consolation? Well, at the moment, Victor Anderson, he's on that drop position. He's in the last spot. He's got the last ticket to the ball, and he has about 5 seconds back to Holland, with about half of the exactly half of the race to go. That's probably not that comfortable for Anderson, but if he can run mistake-free, there's a good chance that there might be some attrition in front that might play in his favour.
Yeah, we're now looking at Mark Alcaraz back to the battle as Isaac Snyder throws him up the inside of John Fogel, and then John just opened the door for him there and let him straight through. Isaac Snyder up to P6. It's a nice move, 17.3 from Alcaraz. So they're getting faster and faster every lap. But this is encouraging because now we know that the pace from Hyman and Alcaraz is virtually the same.
Yeah, it absolutely. We know that for sure. And there's not been really any change in the track temperature as such, so there's no reason to believe that there's any advantage one way or the other. So we're in for a treat then, it would appear, in the feature race. Oh, as you see, Snyder getting a big slide coming out of Druids there on the way down to Graham Hill Bend onto the Cooper Straight. And if you're thinking, is that the same as Mini Cooper? You are correct, yes. John Cooper was the man who suggested to the British Motor Company that it would be a good idea to have a tuned up version of the Mini, and so the Mini Cooper was born.
That's interesting. I always thought it was named after the Cooper F1 cars, but that's a good trivia.
It is the same Cooper, yeah. But
there we go, there's the link.
There you go. So the Cooper, the Cooper was actually the hot version of it. That was just the Mini, the Austin Mini or the Morris Mini. But then the Mini Cooper was the fast one.
Interesting stuff. So yeah, we just saw Mitch Green while we were doing that. I think he had a spin just at the end of that particular straight. So he's back going again. But thankfully for him, he's still in the transfer spot in P11. Thankfully for him. Now, this is a battle between, this is Derek Holland we're on board with now. He's chasing after Fry and Carcady. Victor Anderson, he's a little ways up the road, but I think these guys are going quicker than Victor Anderson at the moment, so Anderson could be in a little bit of trouble if these guys catch up to him. But you can see Holland, I wonder, is he carrying damage of some kind, because the car looks very unhappy.
Yes, it looks, well, it is Italian. It's probably just a bit angry. It's not had his morning coffee, obviously. That's it. You don't want to deny an Italian of their morning coffee. So you see Fry going through here in the number 8 machine on Carcedi. Speaking of unhappy Italians, he will be in 14th spot right now. Now, can Fry catch up? Does he have pace to catch up with Anderson? Well, there's 9 seconds to make the gap up, so at the moment Anderson's looking safe. But for Victor Anderson, our AM-class leader, you look at the number of his competitors in front of him, it's quite a different situation than Road America.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not having the best. He did get caught up in the lap 1 incidents, but even so, if he can just get through, then that'll be something. But he's going to be starting at the very, very back of the field, which is not ideal for him. Or close to the back of the field. Consolation guys will be starting at the back of the field. But you can see Derek Holland again. He runs out wide, and you can see that's Vladimir Cardet. Actually, that's not Vladimir Cardet behind. I think he's a lap down as they come up through towards Clark Curve. Just interesting note, actually, David Holland has now started to wake up a little bit, because he brought the gap down to a second now, and on his previous lap was a 1:17.2, right on the pace of Raoul Hyman.
Indeed, yeah. Look at this, and Alcaraz, really, look at that pace, just getting quicker and quicker all the time. Holland, it looks like he's just made a slight error on this lap somewhere. I think that was what your guffaw was about.
Yeah, whatever noise I made. As he was coming through the right-handers, he had a massive twitch as he came through there, and he's lost about 0.4 of a second, just like that. Alex Alcaraz comes across the line and sets a brand new lap, 1:17.4, and you can see David Holland, 0.4 of a second gone on one single twitch on the exit of the double right-handers in the middle of the lap, and he manages to thankfully keep it going. Back with Mitchell Green, who lost position to Mark Alcaraz after a small spin or a little error. And Victor Anderson actually isn't too far behind them. He's just in the background of the shot there, 3 seconds behind them. There he is. So he's still in with the shot. Nathan Haley's actually into the pit lane. So now Nathan is going to drop out of the top 12. Anderson should definitely be safe then.
It would look like it. Oh, and what's happened to the 203 of Bowen? Who's a lap down one of our early pitters. Mitch Green shoves it up the inside there of Alcaraz, was it? Yes, so Green goes up to 9th spot, and actually we've got as many AM-class drivers in the top 10 as we have pros. This is a great job by the AM-class guys. There's been some real high-profile victims as we look at Harry Bowen. Fast cars go bang. Well, this one, it looks like it's about to. Bang into the wall. Did well to keep it out the scenery there. But Alex Alcaraz doing a great job. David Holland puts in his fastest lap of the race, a 1:17.5, a 10th quicker than Alcaraz, and they bang wheels. Oh, boys. Oh, dear me. David Holland there and Cardea side by side. Down they go, down towards Dingledale through Westfield as we go down towards Dingledale, and then Sheen Curve coming up next. Oh, bang wheels again. Oh my word, down towards Sterling's, this very tight left-hander, but highly cambered, nice positive camber, hook it in there and go, and they carry on, but lucky both not to end up in the barriers there, Jack.
That was scary. That's the fastest part of the circuit, and they somehow survived tangling wheels. Here comes Nathan Healy now once again towards Paddock Hill Bend on Carcady. Looks to the inside, not going to have the space there. He might have to think about it into Druids. He's trying to get the run out. Got a decent run up towards Druids. He's going to have to be brave on the brakes if he wants to try it here, and Carcady covers him off nicely there. But wow, scary stuff down Pilgrim's Drop.
So our leaders have just taken the white flag. Here they come to take the white flag now. It's Alex Alcaraz. Looks like he's got this one done. And David Holland looks very comfortable in second spot. They both backed it off just a 10th or 2. And I tell you what, David Holland has actually backed it off a huge amount. He's backed it off a second. But for these guys, Alcaraz and Holland, they've done enough, I think, to prove to us that they've got the pace to challenge Raoul Hyman in the feature. But Jack, I think they're going to have to try and make a move on him early, because if he gets into a rhythm, I think Hyman might just have that edge. But in a battle, who knows? But they need to try and upset his rhythm a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to get a jump on him early and go for him in Druids if they possibly can. Here comes Victor Anderson. Great recovery drive so far into Paddock Hill Bend, trying to get the move on Mark Alcaraz. As up the hill they come once again, up Pilgrim's Rise into Druids, not quite close enough. He's going to look for a cut-back line on the exit of Druids, but it's going to be a bit of a tall order for him to try and get past. He's safe into the feature if he stays where he is and doesn't try any moves. And even so, it's been a great recovery. Meanwhile, here comes Alex Alcaraz as he comes through the last corner. He's driven sublimely as well, and he comes to the line, and he wins heat race number 2 and will secure the front row of the grid. David Holland in P2, and Matt Karuna will cross line for P3. That's a great effort. This is a battle for the run for the line between Cranefuss and Luis Correa. Luis Correa is going to win the Pro-Am in this heat. P5 for the Pro-Am driver. Excellent drive.
Magnificent performance indeed to be mixing it up with the pros there. Isaac Snyder goes across the line in 6th. If we look back to Alcaraz and Anderson, we're on the gearbox of Alcaraz. Looking back to Anderson through Clark Curve they go. Plenty ways around here. Anderson's got a good run. Here we go to the line then. Drag race down the straight. Oh, and Alcaraz just takes it from Anderson, followed by Fry and Carcedi. So, well, that was an interesting race, Jack. I think that was more of a kind of research effort there to see who are who are his main contenders going to be when we get to the feature race. But of course, Carcedi and all the drivers further down from him, they're now going to have to go into the consolation race. Just 10 minutes, just 6 places to the feature. Very, very tricky scenario indeed. But let's have a look at how they finished this second heat of the evening. If we can. There we go. Aleix Alcaraz wins then from David Holland by just over a smidgen over 2 seconds. Matt Corona 13 seconds further back, but finishing third. Daniel Cranefuss was fourth, with Louis Correa winning the AM class in 5th overall. Isaac Snyder finished in 6th, with John Vogel 7th, Luka Zivkov in 8th, Mitch Green 9th, and Mark Alcaraz in 10th. Victor Anderson, the AM class championship leader, was 11th, followed by Arthur Fry, Vincenzo Carcedi, and here we go then. So you saw the rest of the results there. Our drivers are getting ready to go for the consolation race now. Toby Ward on pole position for this race, with Vincenzo Carcedi right beside him, followed by Stephen Verratti, Nathan Healy, Hans Verheij, Waldemar Cardea, Damien McCullen, Mark Jones, Can Nagoyan, Marcel Tumbas, Chuck Mauro, Harry Bowen, Jordan Kelly, Sammy Venables, Dave McDonald, Derek Holland, Zachary Gage, Steve Brown, Richard Holding, Joy Escobodo, Tony Sepala, Mick Nurmi, Kevin Shine, and Darren Woodward. And we are green here at Brands Hatch. And, well, Toby Ward gets away cleanly in the 25 car. Verratti follows him behind, but good start there for Toby Ward, and crucially keeps away from the melee behind.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. He did, and everyone keeping it sensible so far through. Druid's top 6 go through to the feature race as they file through. Toby Ward leads, Varady second, Verheij. McMullen has had a great getaway up to P4 as they fight away up towards this one. There's a couple of cars now. There's one spinning in the grass. There's 2 off in the grass as they come up the hill. Then, that's key. Hans Verheij, who's gone off at that corner there on the end of the Cooper Straight, managing to get it back going again. But now, look at this. This is Toby Ward and Stephen Varady. There's a side-by-side battle as well, just on the end of that straight as well as they come through. But they've kept it sensible, the top 2. Here we are. There's Damien McMullen, P3, nicely. Cardea and Nguyen, Jordan Kelly. There's another car running off the road there. I think there's going to be a shunt at the end of the straight there, as multiple cars are going to spin in front of everybody. Nathan Healy's off the road, and that is Jordan Kelly up a few spots as well. Back to the leaders here. Stephen Vardy up the inside of Toby Ward through Clark Curve, and he slots into the lead. So I thought it was going to be somewhat clean. It's been chaotic, as per usual, with the consolation.
Always is, isn't it? Now, this is interesting dynamic at the front here. We've got Verratti, who is in the Pro class, Ward, who is in the AM class, but you never know. We could see a bit of a duel forming here, but again, they will need to just keep it in mind that massive crash for Xander Gage at well, you called it before when we were talking pre-broadcast there, Jack, into Paddock Hill Bend, always treacherous.
Yep, he just went straight on. There's just no grip whatsoever from the front there. Really unusual accident. He's obviously carrying some kind of damage. Here we go. This is Can Nguyen and Jordan Kelly fighting for position. Remember, there was wheel banging in the previous race, and Nguyen slots in front. Jordan tries to get back up the inside again as they come through, but he has to hang behind for now. But he is safe in the feature if he stays where he is. He'll be on the very back row of the grid, but he will be secure in his spot. But he seems to have, for the moment, a little bit more pace than the Vietnamese driver ahead of him.
Yeah, Jordan Kelly looking pretty racy here as he gets a good exit there out of Stirling's, but can he make it stick though? Nagoyan defends his line, gives him the room, very nice and fair, good stuff from those guys, and Kelly just slings it around the outside and makes the move stick. Wow, brilliant stuff there for the number 121 of Jordan Kelly into Paddock Hill Bend, but Nagoyan, oh goodness me, I thought Nagoyan was going to go back there, but they carry on then. So Jordan Kelly up to 4th, and I tell you what, Jack, I think he's got more pace. I think he can climb further.
Yeah, he's definitely got something going on. Here's where you now see Sammy Venables and Kevin Shine side by side into Druids. Venables gets in front. and Kevin has to drop behind. So Sammy Venables really needs this because he's in the fight for the title in the Pro-Am class. He needs to get himself into the feature race. So this is a big one for him because Victor Anderson has made it through. He needs to get through, and he only needs to make one more position on Marcel Tumbas to get himself through. He'll be starting at the back of the grid, but it's better than not making the feature at all.
Yep, absolutely. Getting through the feature, that is where all the big points are scored. If you miss out, you're in big trouble, like you said, especially in the heat of a championship battle. And we have a relatively short season, just 6 rounds. So although you have the drop score round, even so, you can't really afford too many trips to the consolation race if you can absolutely help it. As we look at Tumbas, we're riding on board with the gearbox of Tumbas, looking back to Sammy Venables. So this is the very last dance here. This is just where the music's about to go off, the last ticket to the ball. And Sammy Venables now going round the outside up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Now remember, there's not much grip here. Venables taking a big risk, and oh, there you go. There you go. Just required a slight slide from Tumbas, and Venables had absolutely no chance. But that, Jack, that was the risk he was taking.
Yeah, there's never room around the outside there. But whoa, I need to see that again as they come around the last corner here with the top 2. That it's just it's really hard to make a move. Marcel Thomas had a terrible run. Venables had the run, but there's barely any room through Paddock Hill Bend. But I want to see that when Venables came back onto the circuit again. So yeah, Thomas I think outbraked himself, breaks the rear right, and look at this, Kevin Shine. Life flashes before his eyes as he comes around the corner, and he manages to get through. But Sammy Venables, he's not going to be making the feature and going to be losing a chunk of points. But now there's even more battling, and this is on board with Kevin Shine actually, as this is his view. So he sees this and he thinks, oh no, and he backs off the top. That's scary stuff. But he manages to survive. He manages to survive another day. As we go to now, look at this, Jordan Kelly on a flyer going for 2nd place.
Oh, yeah, Jordan Kelly is absolutely on the tear here. I think he could win this consolation race, really showing the pace that he's got underneath that 121 Digital Motorsports Dallara. As we look at Stephen Varadi, he's pushing on in the 199, but I tell you what, do not write Jordan Kelly off. He is really on the move, and yeah, Kevin Shine there did a great job actually, to great presence of mind to avoid the, well, let's be honest, stricken Dallara of Sammy Venables there. And, well, some people say the Irish eyes are smiling. I'm sure his Irish eyes were as wide as football pitches at that point.
Yeah, absolutely with Kevin, yeah. He's just outside a transfer spot of Marcel Tumbas right now. He is going a little bit quicker, but he's also got pressure from behind with the Dutchman of Hans Verheij right behind them. So there's going to be a big scrap here between these guys for the final transfer spot into the feature race. But you've got the pro drivers back to the front again. So Jordan started in P13 on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. He's up to P2. I think they're lapping at quite a similar pace. I don't think he's going to catch Faraday at the moment. So there's your confirmation. Yeah, he started P13, 118.1, so 0.2 of a second, not much between them. But Kevin, I mean, even if he does finish where he is, he's up 16 places from where he started. That's a good effort.
That is an incredible effort. Indeed, massive accident here. Oh my word. Oh, huge one there. That's Brown off as well. What do you see here, Jack?
Absolutely nothing, so you're going to have to see what you can see.
I thought that, me too. Chuck Mauro involved as well in the 14 car, and whack. Oh my word. Game over for those guys.
Yeah, that's... Kevin Shine and Hans Verheij up the inside goes Hans, and he takes P7. What's their contact? Kevin going to try and come back now with the cutback line, and he slots back in front, or should do at least, as they come now down to Pilgrim's Drop, side by side. Remember what happened between the two, Nathan Healy, and both of those, they made contact on the way down the hill. In they go, Kevin Shine around the outside. Lovely stuff from him.
Well, I'll tell you what, going round Hawthorne Bend there, round the outside, very impressive. And the gentleman himself, Mike Hawthorne, look at that, but that wasn't very gentlemanly. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, and Hans Verheij just barges Kevin Shine out the way and carries on. Oh, and that's
a huge one.
Enormous accident as well. Holding McMullen off there too. Oh my goodness me, it's like a Dallara scrapyard in pit lane. So let's go out to Tumbus then.
He spun himself, I think. So Tumbus spins by himself, and then those two have an accident behind. He managed to avoid, but a car just arrives at unbelievable speed. Oh, that's huge. I think Marcel was just completely on side of Richard Holding, just absolutely sent to the shadow realm. Look at this one. He had nothing he could do about that.
Dear me. It's, of course, poor old Richard Holding had nowhere to go. Jeez, right. Well, that actually means that Kevin Shine still has an outside chance now, because he's now, interestingly, he's about 3 seconds behind Hans Verheij, and as long as his Dallara is in relatively good condition, he might well be able to catch up with the Dutchman, and I suspect if he's got 1 lap to do it, as we're about to take the white flag here, or Stephen Verade is about to take the white flag. Of course, Hans Verheij about 24 seconds further back down the road, but I don't know. I tell you what, he's going to be giving it everything to try and catch up with Verheij, and if he gets on the scene with Verheij, I'd imagine they'd be tapping him on the shoulder and giving him a biff in the nose, I would imagine.
Yeah, certainly. So, yeah, we head to the last lap. Hans Verheij, I think he should hold on, because he managed to make the move on Kevin just before that huge accident happened, and he managed to avoid the stricken car of Marcel Tumba, so he gained a lot of time in that, so he should be safe with 1 lap to go. As we now look at Toby Ward and Waldemar Cardeya as they head round for their final lap. Jordan Kelly still pushing on. He took half a second out of our leader that lap up by, but he's not gonna have a hell of a lot more time to pole because we're on the final lap. But this has really been a race of attrition, and I'm actually still reeling. That's one of the biggest accidents I've seen ever on iRacing between those two, Marcel Thomas and Richard Holding. That's gonna hurt in the morning for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. Of course, people are probably thinking, it's a sim. What you complaining about? But it actually just shows you how the realism of the racing as well. And it's just when you see a big accident like that, you're like, oof. And of course, actually, there can be a physical element, because if you've got a driver using a direct drive system and you have an accident like that, the direct drive wheel is so powerful that it will kick back at you. So as you see, Stephen Verade comes over the line, takes the win. Jordan Kelly second, Ward third, Cardeya fourth, Nagoyan fifth, and Hans Verheij is going to now.
Yeah.
So Bowen has had a crash on the last lap, and that has allowed Verheij to take the last spot in the feature.
Oh, Kevin. Straight into the wall of Paddock Hill. That's the thing, just probably frustrated with the race that's happened right there. But we have now the final drivers lining up at the last 6 spots of the grid, and we've got the feature race to come. It's a little bit of a shame that Jordan started at the back of the grid, because his fastest lap, Peter, was a 17.5, right on the pace of our leaders.
Wow, well, watch him in the feature. He'll have to come from quite far back, but watch out for Jordan Kelly in the feature race, and a great addition to the series indeed. So we're going to take a very, very short break here on Apex Racing TV for a short message from our sponsors, the Virtual Racing School. Do not go anywhere, the feature race is coming up.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series,
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch, where the drivers are just taking part in a short warm-up session before the feature race here in round 2 of the Apex Racing Academy F3 VRS Super Series. Jack, we had 2 heats there where we kind of got a bit of an idea of what to expect for the feature. Do you think anyone can catch Raoul Hyman?
Well, we saw some people on a similar pace, but I think it's going to be won or lost in the start, I'll be totally honest. If Raoul Hyman gets clean air, it's going to be done deal. But as you can see on the graphic there, it's track temperature 44 degrees Celsius, which is incredibly warm. Of course, the graphics provided kindly by SDK Gaming. If you want to get these for your own broadcast, then you can visit sdkgaming.com or apexracing.com as well. You can add virtual live HUD to iRacing, show the timing towers, relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calculators. You can stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Broadcast your league and series. SDK Gaming syncs your commentary team's cameras, focus, drive, and overlay with your broadcaster. And you can adjust your team's strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. You can follow the live timing as well in the link in the description or in the YouTube chat if you are watching from there as well. You can see there is the track details on the top right hand side. 44 degrees Celsius track temperature, 26 degrees air temperature. And as we were mentioning earlier, the hotter the track gets, the less grip there is, especially when you're on cold tires. So the run to turn 1 is going to be completely treacherous. So we've seen some drivers really muck up the start because of the amount of wheel spin they're getting. So Raoul Hyman's going to be under a little bit of pressure to make sure that he gets his starts right, I think.
He will be, yeah, that's for sure. And we saw a couple of drivers getting caught out there, particularly Holland getting not the best of starts in his heat, but it's quite funny watching that track temperature, 44 degrees centigrade. I was up commentating at my local circuit, Knock Hill, Jack, and we were at one of our last motorcycle meetings of the year. We had 6 degrees centigrade. I can imagine Mondello Park, similar experience.
Oh yeah, it's tropical climate. Yeah, at one point there must have been minus degrees centigrade temperature at that one point. But yeah, so just in the warm-up, just 118.2 for Alcrez. They're not going to be on the pace of the race course. 20 minutes of racing lies in front of us, and a really intriguing race in store.
Indeed. So, starting on pole position for this feature race will be Raoul Hyman alongside Aleix Alcaraz. Row 2 will see Stratos alongside David Holland. Row 3 will be Christoph Hermanio and Matt Corona. Row 4, Georgie Zoin and Daniel Cranefuss. Row 5, Vitolo Garcia and the leading AM-class driver, Louis Correa. Brian McManus will start 11th alongside Isaac Snyder. Row 7 will see Francesco Fioroni and John Vogel. Marks Bartolotta and Luka Zivkov will be on row 8. Row 9, John Gordon and Mitch Green. Row 10, Case Drost, Mark Alcaraz. Row 11, Brett Poncari and Victor Anderson. And row 12, Alok Iyengar and Arthur Fry. And finally, Stephen Viradi, Jordan Kelly, Toby Ward, Waldemar Kadea, Kian Nguyen, and Hans Verheij. The revs are up. The lights are up. They go out. And Raoul Hyman gets going and he bogs down. Stratos gets a little bit of a run, but I think Alcaraz is going to get the dive into turn 1. He does. It's a disaster for Hyman. Hyman is now into second position there. Into the hairpin we go here at Druids. And just like we said, Jack, all about that start. And Alcaraz is off to an absolute flyer.
Yeah, he knows he needs to go now because Hyman's got the pace. Here comes Herbino now, putting the man under pressure in P2, looking to the outside line, but he can't quite get it done. He's going to look for the cutback line. Hyman covers it nicely though. He'll have a good slipstream line down towards the end of this bend right now onto the outside. This is going to be tricky. We've seen it done earlier before on the outside, heading down the hill, but he's going to get that covered off. But yeah, an absolutely terrible start. Cutback line with Herbino. Contact. Hyman somehow keeps it in a straight line, and Herbino goes through. Oh, the damage to Hyman and round.
Hyman spins! Oh no! Oh, Raoul Hyman has had a disaster now. He has, by some form of miracle, has not made any contact whatsoever. I don't actually know how that is within the laws of physics, Jack, but oh my word, that is a nightmare for our championship leader.
Whoa, have a look. How on earth was he not hit by anybody? Full 360 and gets it back going again. There was multiple cars off in the grass trying to avoid him, but an absolute disaster. He's back on form now, switched to the inside of turn 1 and he gets through. No, there's another car off in the gravel trap as well in turn 1, gets back going again, but Alex Alcaraz is clear out front by 7/10 of a second. Christoph Herbino P2. Then we have Georgie's doing, and Kirla Kidsy's out. Raoul Hyman's in the pit lane.
Oh no, so what has happened to Hyman? Goes through Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, it's in the gravel. Whack! Oh my. Gee. Oh. I cannot believe it. 2 huge mistakes in the first lap, and Raoul Hyman is going to go home more or less empty-handed from round 2 here at Brands Hatch, where all of his championship rivals, Alcaraz, Herbino, Zuain, Stratos, Kirlagitsis, are away at the front. I am flabbergasted, Jack Kinane.
Yeah, that's the big loss. Considering this is only a 6-round championship, you cannot afford to really have a bad day. You have your drop round, of course, but I don't think that's quite in effect yet, but hopefully it is for his sake. Well, Alex Alcaraz in the lead, but Christoph Herbino, look at that, he's pulled up to him to within 4/10 of a second. Look at that, he's almost a second quicker than our leader. Christoph Herbino is on a big flyer here, the Belgian bullet as we call him. He's right behind the Spaniard of Alex Alcaraz, and we are in for a great fight. John Fogel, by the way, is your leader of the Pro-Am class, ahead of John Gordon, which are having a good old scrap there in P10 and P11. But it has been an absolute disaster for Raoul Hyman. There is your leader, John Fogel, with John Gordon right on his tail. We could have a new winner in Pro-Am as well. It'd be nice to see, as you can see them coming up the hill for the first time. But we have a battle for the lead in both classes. We've got these two going at it, and Alex Alcaraz and Christoph Herbino going at it as well. Outside of that, you've got Zoe Kitsis, Holland, McManus, Karuna, Fioroni, Snyder, and then these guys who we're looking at right now. But Raoul Hyman, that's going to be a dangerous one. Look at that around the outside from Zivkov on Mark Alcaraz, Serbian driver, sending it.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Oh, as we see this, not so brilliant stuff. Zuain going off the track now as well, and that's going to give Stratos the run as they head down towards Clark Curve. Stratos on the outside in the 117 car. Oh, that's gutsy to hang it around the outside. He's going to try and get the cutback. Good defence there from Zuain, but he's got the run. Here goes Stratos. He's going to have to go to the outside. He's got no other option. This is gutsy. Oh, we've seen a lot of drivers come to bear there. Oh, gee whiz, hang on. Stratos goes up the inside now. Zuain later on the brakes and just about hangs on to it. And David Holland's come in there for good measure as well. And David Holland going to try and send it up the inside of Stratos now, and he does. Into Graham Hill, and Stratos is off. Gets it. I think there was a nudge there, Jack.
Yeah, there was a tiny bit of wheel-on-wheel contact, and unfortunately Stratos was on the receiving end of it, and he goes off. David Holland sent it up the inside. We'll have a quick look at this again. This is John Gordon and the leader, and John Fogel, who were the leaders of Pro-Am. Was there an issue for him?
Uh-oh. Oh. So Vogel made a mistake, and that just allowed Gordon to get by, and they've now got Mitch Green in between them. So that's not so good news for Vogel, but plenty of this race to go. We're only at 1/4 distance, but Alcaraz at the moment holding firm. That gap is relatively stagnant with the exception of the second lap. Let's see what the lap times are like when they come over here. Oh, straight in the groove now. Oh my word, they're straight into their pace now. Alcaraz 1:17.5. Now who is that? That's Vogel. I think Vogel. Oh. So, Jack, this has been a race where mistakes are breeding mistakes.
Absolutely, and that looked like a pretty nasty one. That's right at the pit entry as well. We've seen his car in pieces. Right, there's John Vogel, who was leading. Pro-Am is now, fortunately, out of contention. As we see back to Stratos Kyriakidis after his issue. This is now John Gordon trying to fight off Matt Caruna and Mitch Green, who are fighting for the pro class and weaving back and forth. He's got to get on the grass. This is going to get a little bit sketchy now as they head down the hill on lap number 5. They managed to sort themselves out for now. Now, with Ralph Hyman out of the race, Alex Alcaraz should take the championship lead after this race. It's a crucial one for Alcaraz that he keeps it clean. As we ride on board with Mitch Green up the hill, a little bit out of shape up ahead. You can see there's a car off in the gravel. That looks like Stratos, who's gone off the road again at Dingledell, and now he's going to get swarmed by this batch of F3 cars behind. You got John Gordon trying to go to the outside. You got Matt Caruna right in there as well. Leaders separated by just 1/10 of a second across the line, but David Holland sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, but that early incident, that early little bickering around from that pack there has really hurt them. Alcaraz and Herbio, the guys that really got the run, has got, someone off in the background there. That is Mark Alcaraz in 13th. Zivkov goes by, and Jordan Kelly, I was going to mention him there. Jordan Kelly from the back of the pack, he is already up to 12th spot right now. So the number 121 digital motorsports driver, the Irishman, doing a mega job. And I tell you what, we need to keep an eye on him throughout the season, Jack, because if he can get a clean run of things, he could be on for a win before the end of this season. Just that move into Stirling's really cost him in the first heat.
Yeah, Jordan is an absolute weapon by the wheel of an F3 car. Here he comes now with a move. He tries to get off the inside of Mitch Green, but Mitch covers up really aggressively. But he runs out wide now, and Jordan will have an opportunity as they come up the hill then. But this is getting really feisty. He's up 14 places already in this race, and looking up to make it even more. If he can get a top 10, that'd be a fantastic result for him in his debut. Considering, remember, he had a huge accident in his heat. He was flipping wildly through the air after a huge one. But he's on a good drive, and as well, his teammate Brian McManus is having a great drive in P5 as well. He's having a great run up in the top 5. So if they can get both cars inside the top 10, this will be a good day for VRS Racing. Sends it into Paddock Hill. He's got a good run down towards Druids. He's going to have a think about sending up the inside of Mitch Green. Here he looks to the outside, cuts back to the inside line. It's going to be tight, but he can't quite find the way through. Mitch is defending this very nicely.
Tell you what, he's like a wasp, isn't he, Jordan Kelly? He is just all over. When you think he's going inside, then he's going outside, and then jinks back again. Almost Daniel Ricciardo or Max Verstappen-esque. But really, it's more Tommy. Oh, dearie me. Oh, and he's got damage. Oh, just a slight mistake there from Jordan Kelly. And that has really bent his front wing, and that will have a lot of effect on the performance of that Dallara F3 machine. Oh, dearie. That's not what was required, and that's straight away he's losing positions. And Jordan Kelly there, he was on the charge, but a small mistake has really cost him again.
Yeah, I think he was a bit unlucky there. He wasn't expecting Mitch to kind of back off the throttle on the exit of that corner. He just tapped him very slightly. Fast lap of the race from Alex Alcaraz, and he's really starting to open it out now. 0.8 of a second. The gap here, this is the battle for P3 between Georgie Zuin and David Holland, who's trying to get himself into the podium slots here. Into Druids, gets covered off by the Canadians. It's been a good day for Canadian drivers. It'd be a great one to see a Canadian up on the podium here today as well in the ARA F3 VRS Super Series. But Brian McManus, he'll be hoping that they keep fighting because he's not far behind them. As you can see, the VRS Racing car just a few car lengths back. But here we go. Great run from David Holland on the exit. He's going to be almost pushing Georgie Zuin down the straight here as he moves to the outside line. This is going to be very, very tricky. I think Zuin's going to cover him off, just about going to look for a cut back through the double right, but he's not able to quite pull alongside. And you can see Alex Alcaraz opening the gap out to over a second now.
Well. This is interesting stuff. Of course, David Holland was right up there battling at the front of the pack last time out at Road America, but a small incident on the last, I was about to say, a small mistake at heading down into Hurry Downs resulted in a big accident and lost a lot of places. So what's happened to Jordan Kelly? Now, we know he's got front aerodynamic damage. Is this going to hurt him? Now, there's a car going off at front. That's Alcaraz. Does he go past cleanly? Yes, he does. So Jordan Kelly goes through. He's still fighting hard, but a story of what could have been for the young man.
Yeah, considering this is debut of the series, he was almost on for a great result, but just unfortunate wing damage. It's really going to hurt him in a straight line. But either way, he can be encouraged with the pace. If he hadn't had a huge incident, he could have been easily in the mid-pack, but he's in 13th spot, just struggling around with the wing damage. Here we go back to the battle for P3. Here comes David Holland again to the outside line. This is going to be crucial. They're going to try and sweep it around the outside this time. Sends him on the outside. He's side by side for the next part of the circuit here on the right-hander, but Zuin should still have his nose in front. This is a fantastic battle between these two, but they're losing so much time to P2, and they're losing time to Brian McManus behind. Here he comes on this contact, a huge off. They're both off the road.
Oh, so 2 crashes 2 weeks in a row for David Holland in the feature race. Is the number 2. Oh my word, everyone's off. Alcaraz is off. Oh, stay there. Oh, dearie me. Mark Alcaraz, not our leader Alcaraz. Mark Alcaraz is relative. Oh, and David Holland goes into pit lane to take a fast repair. Dear oh dear, let's try and get a better look at this then. So Holland behind in that sort of light blue, the Simicube machine. Through Sheen curve. Just a little bit of a wiggle there. Interesting stuff. So actually, it wasn't really anywhere for Holland to go there. Just a little bit of a wiggle in front, and he came into the back of him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there. He just went into the back of him like very, very slightly. I think actually Zuin got away with it because he's still running in P3. But now he is going to be under pressure. This is Isaac Snyder. I think there was an instance in Druids as well at the same time. So there was so much going on throughout the field. Multiple instances at different parts of the circuit. So that's now going to be these guys fighting through it. Now Jordan Kelly is trying to come back, but it's going to be so hard to do it with the bent front wing. You can see it on the left-hand side there. Stephen Vardy's up to P11 as well. Those guys would have started on the same row if I'm not mistaken. So Stephen Vardy's on a great run as well. In P11, he was the winner of the consolation, don't forget. There he is. They both started on the same row, 14 places each.
Yeah, indeed. It's fascinating stuff to see. We're just over 13 minutes into this race, so not long to go here at Brands Hatch for the second round of the F3 Apex Racing Academy VRS Super Series. And a big thank you to the Virtual Racing School VRS for their sponsorship of this series. There's been some excellent driving on show, and some certainly drivers trying their very hardest. That is for sure. As we look at Stephen Varady in the 199, running the same number as Travis Pastrana, the Action Sports star. But for John Gordon, he's got to be very happy with his day so far. He's in 7th spot overall, and the next AM driver is Drost in 13th spot.
Yes, he's nearly got almost 15 plus seconds to the next car. This is the battle for 9th place. Vitolo Garcia and Matt Caruna, who's carrying damage. You can see on the front wing as well from Matt Caruna. So Vitolo Garcia is into P9 now. Alex Alcaraz just continuing to open the gap out front. Georgie Zuin, I think, has recovered from that incident because he's opened the gap out to McManus a little bit by a couple of tenths of a second. So he should be secure if he keeps it clean. Just about 5 minutes left on the clock in this feature race. and has very much settled down after all the incidents. But you can now, our top 5 is Alcaraz, Herbino, Zuin, McManus, Fioroni, Stratos, Kirlikitsis, and John Gordon, the leader in the Pro-Am, Mitch Green, Vitola Garcia, and Matt Caruna, who we're looking at right now, but probably very soon going to be overtaken by Stephen Varady right behind him. And you can now see there was a car that went off the road in the background there. I think Matt Caruna is carrying damage, so maybe this is where he picked up that damage.
Ah, so it looked to me, I don't know if you got the same picture, Jack, there of a car, Isaac Snyder actually blinking out in front of him, but then he sort of running into the abyss there, which just a really bad luck there from Matt Corona, but he's still going in the top 10, which is still a strong result indeed. And Alcaraz, as soon as he got that clean air, look at that, look at the consistency. Well, that is Jorge Lorenzo-esque, isn't it? 117.4, 117.5. And so on. Really impressive there from Alcaraz as we see them going down. We see Corona and Varady going down to Clark Curve, named after my hero, Jim Clark, 1963 and 1965 world champion, and the only man ever to win the Formula One World Championship and the Indianapolis 500 in the same year, and also had a very flash hairstyle as well.
Yeah, as we continue with Stephen Varady trying to make it 15 places gained in this race and a top 10, which would be a great result for him as he comes now through Greymill Bend down towards Surtees. And he's running out of time, but he should get a good run because Corona is going to be compromised in a straight line, trying to get on the throttle early there now in the slipstream. But is he going to have enough of a run into the double right-hander? I don't think he's going to be able to get quite alongside here. He's close, but he's not quite close enough. Going to look for a cutback line here. Great shots here as Karuna's a touch wide, but again, he's just got enough to hang on for now, to hold on to the top 10. Down into Dingledell, down into Sheen Curve, trying to keep it nice and tidy, and he's just not quite able to pull alongside. As we have 3 minutes left on the clock, which should be 2 laps to go.
Looks like it. Yeah, looks like it. But Corona doing a great job to keep the 199 of Varady at bay for now. Of course, both drivers in the pro class, so they are. This is for class honours here, or for class points, I should say. Is Jordan Kelly? He's in 12th, still nursing that aerodynamic damage, but even without that, even with that little bit of damage, you've got to think he's done a great job here, Jack, of recovering from what could have been potentially disastrous. I think he's salvaged a good drop of points considering the disappointment of his heat race. Yeah,
he's done very well to keep where he is. I think without the damage, he would have been further up, but either way, still a good effort in the in his first race in the championship. Georgie Zuin as well doing an excellent job, and Varady and Corona are going at it right now for P10 now. Here we go. I think Varady was just marginally ahead on the entry, but Corona cut back and got back in front of him as they head down the hill once again. As we might just squeeze another lap in. It's going to be tight, but we should be able to squeeze another lap in past this one. So it's going to be all or nothing now for Stephen Varady to salvage another position from starting down the back of the field. Matt Corona, even with the damage, doing an excellent job to hang on as they head towards turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend once again. He needs to run ideally out of Paddock Hill to give himself a chance now. And again, he has got a decent run up towards Druids, and Corona knows it. He defends it now, late on the brakes for Varady on the outside, but Corona hugs the karting line on the inside. There's nothing you can do. Textbook stuff from the Englishman there.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Oh, goodness me, there as Varady goes really wide on the entry, trying to get the big exit, and he gets it down towards Surtees, and Corona gives a little bit of a nudge there, and Varady goes off, and that should do it. That just seemed a bit of a racing incident, but here comes Jordan Kelly, and he's going to nab the position. He goes up to 11th, and will now have to defend from Varady, but here comes the white flag then. Alcaraz taking the white flag, so it will be the last lap next time around for these guys. When they take the line, that will be their last lap. So can Jordan Kelly now hold off Varady? Meanwhile, Corona escapes in 10th.
Yeah, he's got away lightly there, but it's going to be tough for Jordan to hang on because he's got the damage. He's so compromised in a straight line. It should be easy for Vardy to just slipstream past him down towards Paddock Hill, but Jordan's going to have to fend him off really hard here. Here comes now. You'll see the difference with the damage. There's nothing you can do. Vardy pulling alongside, and he's almost going to be a car length in front before they reach Paddock Hill. He's going to give it his best shot, though. Jordan sticks it up the inside, heading down to Druid, side by side through Paddock Hill. He still has the inside line. Vardy going to try and sweep around the outside now with the extra grip, and he's just going to get run out wide by Jordan. Jordan hanging on for dear life for this P11 slot right here, and Vardy trying his best. He's got the advantage of a clean car. Now Vardy going to have another go on the outside line into Surtees, but again he's not able to do it. It should be now Vardy going to be able to slipstream past surely now, but now Jordan's going to make it very difficult for him as they head down into the next right-hander. Vardy has to go to the outside. Jordan to the inside. There's nothing he can do. He's the car length in front as they enter the double right, and there's nothing he can do with that. Alcaraz, by the way, wins it by half a second, and he is your new championship leader.
Yeah, brilliant drive there from Aleix Alcaraz. Got the job done. You called it, Jack. Got the job done at the start and really laid down some hot pace. But here comes John Gordon then in the Fuga Simsport machine. He's going to come home 7th overall and first by a good distance in AM, and that will put him in a very strong position heading into the next round in his class. Oh, as we see... We'll pretend I didn't see that. Oh dear. So we see Victor Anderson. Victor Anderson he's still 3rd in class, so although a little bit further down, 15th overall, so not too bad from the Swede. As we see the 221 of Holland coming over the line. Bartolotta, one of the last runners as well. Well, that's I tell you what. When I woke up this morning, Jack, and was looking forward to this one, I have to say, Raul Hyman having 2 massive errors, a spin and a crash within a lap in the feature race. I have to say that was not on my form book.
Oh, I don't think so. I think actually, our leader Alcaraz had a shocking last lap, and it was quite close, as you can see, half a second across the line between Herbino and Alcaraz. So Herbino did a great job, but Alex Alcaraz wins the feature race, and it should extend the gap at the front of the team championship for Pliga's racing team. Christoph Herbino in the Delta Sport for U4K P2, Georgie Zuin in the Volante car in P3, Brian McManus for VRS Racing is P4, Francesco Fioroni in the Squadra Corsa car, he's P5, Stratos Kirlik as the privateer. John Gordon wins the Pro-Am for Fuga Sim Sport, Vitola Garcia and the other Pliga's racing team in P8, Mitch Green, Rust Racing Steel in P9, Matt Karuna holds on to P10. Stephen Vardy did manage to get Jordan Kelly into that double right-hander, and he gets P11. And P12 for Jordan Arthur Fry. Keys Dross just managing to hang off Victor Anderson across the line. They were very close, less than a 10th between them. Daniel Cranefuss, David Holland after his instance, Brett Punkari in P18 and P4 in Pro-Am. And then Khan Nagoyan, Lucas Zivkov, Alec Iyengar, Max Bartolotta, Toby Ward, Hans Verhey, John Fogel, Waldemir Cardea, Raul Hyman, crucially, P27, Mark Alcaraz, Isaac Snyder, and Luis Correa is the final classified finisher for Brands Hatch. An absolute race of attrition. And I'd love to hear from some of the drivers after that.
Well, we have one to come and join us. Toby Ward now joins us in the commentary box. Toby, welcome to the Apex Racing TV commentary box. Tell us about your day out there at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, pretty tough today, I think. First heat race, definitely difficult to not feel like I got robbed at the last moment getting 13th place, but most of the time in the series I'm just targeting getting in the feature race, and I'm glad I did that with the 3rd place in the consolation. Again, that was a bit of a tough race for me. I managed to get through worst of the crashes, but got spun around, I think lap 11, but managed to still finish 23rd, which will still score me decent points for the AM Championship, which is definitely what I'm targeting this season.
Absolutely, it certainly will. And we heard a lot of the drivers, both before the race, complaining about the level, the state of the track, how high the track temperature was, and how slippy that made things. And we certainly saw a few drivers falling foul of it during the race. How did you find that from your seat?
It was definitely noticeable that the track temperature was about 20 degrees higher than it was previously. On some of the corners, you know, if you were going in too fast, you'd just slip out and it'd be a bit of a death trap. So I decided for this race, take it really cautiously and hope other drivers just screw up. So on a lot of the corners, I was actually gearing down lower than I normally would, just to make sure I could keep the car going. And that actually did seem to work. I managed to pick up a lot of places simply because drivers weren't adapting to the conditions that were given to them. So yeah, I didn't find it too bad, and I think that was because haven't only been able to practice a little bit this week, so it didn't take me too long to adapt. But yeah, it was definitely noticeable, particularly when you're battling the different cars.
Absolutely, it certainly did look a bit of a handful out there as well. But you did a great job keeping on top of it. Toby, before we let you go, who would you like to give a shout out to here on Apex Racing TV?
Yeah, big shout out to all my friends watching back home, and also to Hedgecock from Boosted Motorsport, who I'll be joining from next season.
Oh, excellent news! Well, and congratulations on the signing with Boosted Motorsport, and hopefully we'll have a chat again very soon.
All right, thank you very much.
So that was Toby Ward coming to join us here in the Apex Racing TV commentary box, telling us a little bit about his experience out on track today. That is all we have time for then tonight on Apex Racing TV. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast of round 2 of the Apex Racing Academy F3 VRS Super Series. Do come back and see us 7 days from now. We will be there for round 3, same time, 8 PM GMT. And I'm sure we will be treated to an absolute cracker. For more information about the Apex Racing Academy, go on to www.apexracingac.com. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.